All right. Welcome, everyone, to the next installment of the Waconia Wrestling podcast. My name is Jeff Catherman, as always, and I'm joined today by a couple of our varsity wrestlers and kind of breaking new ground here in the wrestling room, if you can't see. I've got some great kids here I want to introduce. We've got Carter Catherman, Lincoln Vick, and Maverick Mueller. The topic of today's podcast is going to really be about recapping the Freestyle and Greco season, talking a little bit more about Freestyle and Greco. As many know, it's one of my favorite topics, and kind of diving into these guys' journey this year and years past and in the future. So how's it going, guys?
Good. How about you, Jeff?
Very good. And you can say that during this podcast. Call me by my first name. Why don't you give the mic to Lincoln?
Hello. Hello.
All right. So keep the mic over there. So I want to dive in and talk with each of you guys, and some of our audience may not be aware of any of of who you are and stuff. So I want to have you three talk a little bit about yourselves, your number of years in the program, kind of how you got started, not just in freestyle, but originally, and just some introductory comments about yourselves. So go for it.
I'm Maverick Mueller. I've been wrestling since kindergarten. I'm a senior now, so I've been wrestling about 12 years. And I mostly started from most of my family were wrestling family. Started when my oldest brother was like fourth grader. He got pretty into it and he quit all like basketball and stuff. He played both at the time, and we just kind of got overcome by it, and it takes a toll to your life for sure.
Yeah, you've got three brothers that have been in the sport, and a very passionate older sister
Yep.
as well. Two great parents, and we always refer to you guys as the Mueller clan, right?
Yep.
And the Mueller brothers, and yeah, it's been fun following you guys. So awesome. Lincoln.
What's up? I'm Lincoln Vick. I recently graduated from Waconia. I started in first grade, and I wrestled all 12 years. The reason I got into it is I was kind of a difficult child, and I had a lot of energy, so my parents kind of thought I needed a sport and got a lot of energy out at wrestling practices.
Yep.
So it's just a great way to it was a great way to tame me down and everything like that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Carter Catherman, incoming junior. Been wrestling since first grade, so quite a while. I got into wrestling because I had two neighbors, Gavin Voss and Tate Wishnack, that kind of recruited me to come out for wrestling, and I eventually came out and just fell in love with it. I did other sports growing up. I did soccer. I did flag football, actually. I liked all of them, but wrestling just kind of stuck, and I've been with it ever since.
Awesome. Yeah, you all three kind of have a similar starting age. You all kind of started around kindergarten, first grade, and I remember Maverick when Carter was thinking about going out. I think he was in the practice room just checking out when he was in kindergarten, and you would have been one of his only practice partners, weight class and round grade, and you could tell he wasn't quite ready for it yet. So, but I think everybody starts it's the right time to start is different for everybody. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, and especially if you have since he was the first child, it's gonna be hard. I've been wrestling my siblings my whole life, so.
Yep.
Yeah. And then just having maybe parents that did it or your dad or whatever, that helps a lot too. I feel like getting into it. But I don't know. My dad never wrestled growing up, and I still got into it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a requirement to get into wrestling.
Yeah. Would you guys agree that, in Maverick, you're a younger brother, having older brothers or, siblings, because we know we have lots of girls in the program too, an older sibling that's been through it, do you think that helped a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I think it definitely influences stuff, especially motivation, determination, stuff, trying to be looking up to them. My brother wrestled in college, and especially, going into college, it makes me want to wrestle in college.
Yeah.
Because I know how much fun he's had there. It's a cool moment for him.
Having that mentorship in the family,
Mm-hmm.
probably would have been to a couple of tournaments or practices beforehand,
yeah.
so it's not as intimidating and a social, stressor as if you're the oldest child going through it, right?
Mhm.
So Lincoln, you were the oldest child. So
Yeah, I was
what?
kind of
How did you get into it?
really, I just kind of started, and we had a head coach, Bob Green, and he just, I don't know, yeah, I was just kind of
Shout out Bob
better.
Green if you're listening, YouTube and internet world. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much all the wrestling community, it's really tight. Like they help you out. If my parents didn't really know what was going on, but
Yep.
a lot of the other families really helped them out and just kind of helped, showed us what to do to go to tournaments and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, how to sign up for them, all that. So everybody's really helpful and friendly and all that. So that kind of helps. Yeah.
So Carter, talk a little bit about, the first year, you getting into it, were you confident with, you were obviously the oldest brother, and, what helped you kind of find a comfort zone there?
Yeah, me as the oldest brother. Yeah, I was kind of the first experience for wrestling for our entire family, so I want to say I kind of led the way. My brother is incoming seventh grader, so he's kind of following my footsteps. Yeah, so first gained confidence about probably, I want to say like third grade. We got like second or third at NYWA, and just being a part of that team and being a part of that team chemistry and that team bond, like that team bond and team chemistry is still going on today. Like we're still like all brothers and stuff. So yeah, just like those third, fourth grade experiences, and then really when I got into the high school program, I really started to gain confidence. Things started to click. My body started to mature. Obviously through like adolescence and puberty, and yeah, just fell in love with it basically. So yeah.
Yeah, I have something to add on that. If you're not great in youth, it's not the end. Like
Yep.
there's
I want to say I was not good in youth.
Carter got pinned a lot.
Yes, I was not good at all.
Yeah, we had a wrestler, Garrett Voss. He started in 7th or 8th grade, I think, and he ended up as 2-time state champion, 2-time All-American, I think, 3-time All-American. That 4 actually.
Yep.
I'm looking at the wall right now. But yeah, so it's not all about, you don't have to be a stud in youth. You can really turn it up in high school and have a great experience. It's all what you put into it.
Perfect. Yeah, we could have and maybe we'll get into this podcast a little bit about kind of the lessons learned of it, because it's kind of a rare opportunity to get the three of you, a collection of wrestlers like you together. And my vision is, our vision is to get more perspectives to really help the kids, help coaches, help the parents really kind of continue to learn how to navigate this sport, right? It's not the easiest, right? So talk about some of those. I want to go back to what Carter said in that, that first year of wrestling. Talk about just acclimating to kind of the techniques, talk about just I would say wrestling tends to be one of the most physically demanding and mentally demanding sports. What made you guys kind of continue to stay in with it despite those adversities, and from year 1 to year 2, maybe all three of you?
I think for me is I made some great friends. I was a little guy. I don't know, kind of some of my first friends were from the wrestling team, like Maverick and his twin Levi and Sam Stanton. There's some of my really good friends. Yeah, Nick Hayes. So that really helped me just having, because when you're in practice, you're hanging out with your buddies kind of, and you get to know them pretty good at tournaments and all that. So that helped me stick with it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say friends are definitely a big part. Like, I would have thought, like, if I quit, like, it would change all of my friendships. Everybody would think of me differently. Like especially like later in, you just get so into it that you don't feel like you can stop. It's kind of an addiction. You can't get enough of it.
Yeah, talk about it, Carter.
Yeah, it's like those team bonds and those like experiences, just like going to another high school just to do like a normal invite with your team. Like those are so fun, and definitely built my social life and friendships with obviously these guys and the rest of our team, and we're so tight that like those friendships are just still here, and I don't regret anything. So
When you had those moments, especially kind of maybe earlier in your careers, and I'm sure there's been moments throughout the career of that gosh, maybe I should quit. What were beyond the friendships, what were some of the additional things that really kind of helped overcome those moments of anxiety, those moments of kind of doubt?
Yeah, I want to shout out coaches because even though um you're the only one wrestling out there, that your coach, you feel like your coaches are with you and they're helping you during the match, and they're telling you what to do, and yeah, they're like a father figure. I don't know, as like someone in the wrestling room. So they definitely built my love for wrestling and my wrestling childhood, I want to say.
I'd say my dad helped me a lot. He was, or my parents in general, they both helped me a lot off the mat.
Yep.
Like if I was kind of down on myself or not doing very good, they'd have my back. And
Constant love and encouragement, right?
Yep, it was
Yep.
tough love, kind of. So my dad would get after me a little bit if I did bad, but then we'd go get ice cream or something.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, especially my dad, like, it's all life lessons, you know? So, like, I just, like, if I'm bad or, like, feeling sad in the moment or something, I'll just try not to think about it at the time. And then later he'll give me a nice talk and I'll get over it. And he'll say something about striving for more, and it just gets to me.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. Like even if you do bad, they always got your back.
Yep.
So you don't really need to worry. There's always another match. It's not the end of the world if you lose or do bad.
In terms of from observing the youth, helping be involved in the youth program for, gosh, I don't know, 8 to 10 years here now. It seems like there's definitely kind of levels to climb, almost like you're climbing like I like the analogy of Mount Everest in that it's 28,000, I think 29,000 elevation foot mountain. Even at the highest as you get up, it's mountain within a mountain. There's these levels and people that are training, to climb this Mount Everest, to climb where you can barely breathe, there's a acclimation period, right? So talk about guys in your careers going from like brand new beginners to kind of that intermediate to kind of more advanced, and then even climbing the ranks in the high school age group. What were some of the key things in your from training in practicing, but also just navigating the mental side of it that helped you, all three of you, kind of navigate into those levels?
Yeah, for me in youth, what helped me a lot was just really going to a lot of tournaments and getting used to it, because it's a really nerve-wracking thing going to tournaments.
Yep.
There's a lot of energy, a lot of noise going on. It can be kind of nerve-wracking. So just getting used to that by going to a lot of tournaments, I think that helped me out a ton. And that's kind of where I think I had maybe an advantage on some other kids. So I
Yep.
wouldn't be as nervous going into matches because I had so much experience going to those.
Did a lot of those tournaments, like at the youth level, you went to a lot of high level tournaments in youth. Did those kind of help you when you got to the high school program and you're going to the Rumble in the Red, Christmas tournament, etc., section,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's just the same thing, but at a higher age, higher level. It's all like you look back and see that, oh, I wrestled 4 state champions in this bracket. Like it's just, you're just getting older, and it's kind of the same thing, but same type of tournament. A lot of people, just a little higher level.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Like, I mean, I didn't go to a lot of tournaments as a kid. I liked wrestling, but I wasn't like totally in love with it at the time. Like, my parents would kind of have to force me to go to tournaments.
Nudge, right?
Not force, just like put it out there. I wouldn't just say, "Dad, let's sign up for this." But like, it definitely does help with the mental toll that it takes on you if you go to a lot more tournaments.
Would you agree, Matt? Like, parents can say, "Hey, there's a tournament this weekend. Like, these are the, I think you should go. You can, have fun, way to challenge yourself." I mean, it feels like though there's also like you as a wrestler, you're the one out there. You have to then equally say, okay, or I'm going to pass on that one, especially at the youth level when we have kind of a choice of which tournaments we go to, right? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I think that also friendships would help with that. Like if I heard one of my buddies was going, I was definitely more willing to go. And since I had my twin with me all the time, it was like I always had somebody to bring with me. And yeah, I thought it'd be a lot more fun.
Awesome. Well, if Carter give a. We had some of those conversations, didn't we?
Yeah.
Which tournaments,
Yeah.
go for
Obviously,
state
like I
or
mentioned
Rumble on the
before,
Red.
I lose a lot, and I mean a lot. But it's the figuring out part that really has led me to where I'm in right now in my career. And that earlier on, I'd get really nervous. I'd worry about too much the results rather than the process. And those failures is what's going to lead you to like the goals you want and the goals you desire for. So
Yeah,
that failure has kind of built me into who I am now and who I'm going to be. So yeah.
Perfect. So among the topics of our podcast here was the Freestyle Greco season recap, and this has been a great conversation. I think we could dive into a lot of these topics in the future because we could really go deep. But I want to transition, and we want to try to get out here in the next 15, 20 minutes. But we as a program have kind of been, I would say, 5 to 6, 7 years ago, we had some kids doing freestyle Greco, not very many, maybe here or there, right? And so we really started kind of putting an emphasis on it. I would say maybe 3 years ago, and so you three have done a lot these last couple of years, and so we wanted to kind of dive into kind of your experience this year and your experience in freestyle and Greco and how it's benefited. So talk a little bit about how it has benefited your, the rest of the folk style part of your styles, and then navigating that season. How has practicing and competing in freestyle helped
Yeah.
you?
So
And
about
Greco.
freestyle Greco, it's all just mat time. If I can get on the mat, get maybe a couple tournaments in, that's huge. Like I'm probably getting more than most of the kids around my area, and maybe probably most of the kids in the state. So the more I can get on the mat, and the best way is probably freestyle, and Greco is just a great way to get better and chase your goals. And yeah, so I think freestyle and Greco, well, freestyle especially, helped a ton with my hand fighting. Like
Yeah.
I started pretty much going from 9th to 10th grade. The summer in between, I started doing freestyle, I believe, and it just helped my hand fighting finishes a ton. Like that's kind of where I lacked. I would just kind of take diving shots, and as the competition gets higher, you can't just do that anymore, and it wasn't really working. But then,
Yep.
I started freestyle, and it's all on your feet pretty much, or a large portion of it, and that's where I kind of struggled, and it just helped a ton. I noticed results really quickly.
Those freestyle ties and tie-ups and to your setups, do you
Mhm.
feel like that really helped bridge the gap?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely helped close the gap to those top level guys for me. That's what I was kind of looking to do for a long time, and freestyle really helped me get there.
Yep.
Just from practicing so much, tightening up those hand fighting pretty much.
Yep.
That was a big part of it for me.
Yeah, I just started competing this year for freestyle, and I tried Greco. I think go very well, but we don't have to talk about that.
The story's not written though for you and Greco, because I think I think it's still just to get more exposure to it.
Yeah,
because
I think so
you
too.
love to go for thing, and
Yeah.
that's what
Dude, I tried a couple times, it just kept slipping. So yeah, I this was my first year competing, and I think it's definitely helped me a lot. Like during even this past season, I thought that I didn't really or I thought like I wouldn't want to be on my feet because I wasn't very confident after the first period. My legs would get heavy, and I
Yeah.
came pretty reliant at being on top because I scored a lot of points there. And I think this season's freestyle has definitely made me feel like I have to be on my feet, and I have to like keep pushing it, keep hand fighting. Like it's definitely made me feel more comfortable on my feet throughout the match.
One more thing, I didn't really talk about Greco, but me and Mav went to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, we were going to talk about. So good, we're
Good
on the same
bridge?
page.
Okay.
Yes, this is part of the agenda. So good job.
Okay.
Telepathy is working. Yeah, talk about the junior duels. First, it's pretty cool to be selected to that team. And there's among the best of the best that from our state and then the other states that are competing there. So talk about, what was it, mid-June? You guys went to Tulsa with Team Minnesota. We got formed 2 teams, right? And 2 strong teams, and you wrestled at 32 or 38,
145.
45,
Yep.
145, and Mav, you're at 32. Okay. So talk both of you guys a little bit about that whole experience and what that was like.
So pretty much we took a bus down to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I think it was what, like 10-hour drive or something. It was pretty long, but it wasn't too bad, you sleep in the seat. I don't know. It wasn't too bad. You really get to meet some new guys, guys from around the state that you might have been kind of competitive with, but then they get to be your friends,
Yeah.
or people you might not have liked before, but then you get to know they're pretty nice actually. So that was kind of like the teammate aspect of things. But wrestling, it was really hard, like really tough tournament, but a lot of fun. I feel like, I think I went 3-10. That was my record, but I feel like I got better from it because wrestling that top competition just kind of pushes you to be better. And that was my first Greco tournament, I think, ever. So I went like 1-6 or something. I didn't do very good, but I definitely felt more comfortable
Yeah.
in the upper body ties as the
Perfect.
tournament went along.
And I think that's one of the benefits of Greco is it's like a whole other sport, more or less, right? Your different stance, different limitations, there's lots of different nuances on the penalties, right? And cautions and things like that, and passivity and that kind of stuff. So yeah, talk about what position specifically did you become more comfortable in?
The over-under is where you get to a lot in Greco. I usually try to kind of stay away from that in folk style and freestyle, but I felt more comfortable in it because we did Greco first at the tournament. So then I got there in a couple freestyle matches down there, and I felt more comfortable for sure.
Yep.
And yeah,
because freestyle matches can become more Greco in nature
it
because
depends on the wrestler. Some guys
you can
really
use
like
Greco
that upper
techniques
body
in
stuff.
freestyle.
Yeah, so I definitely got kind of more acclimated to that as the tournament went along.
Yeah, so Mav, talk a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, so what I kind of learned for Greco was like it kind of made me feel more comfortable on the 2-on-1s, in which I do them a lot in folk style, but like we learned some different kind of ways for it. So I thought it was pretty cool to see like which ways to go, like trying to keep the angles going with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, and the whole experience was really cool for me. I mean, it's cool to meet random people that I've just seen before at other tournaments and like never actually talked to, and like see all their personalities, see like how I'm gonna feel in college meeting all these new people.
Yep.
It was a cool experience to see so many different people.
Yep. Did you become better friends with more Minnesota kids that might be your opponents in the winter here, but we're all humans too, and eventually, I think what's great too is this sport really creates so many deep relationships. We have some future guests that we hope to get on this podcast, but Nate Patoshek, John May, and Tyler Safratowicz all were teammates, Team Minnesota, back in the mid early 2000s on junior duels, and they're still friends to this day. And that's how they, I think I think Nate and John knew each other before, but they hadn't met Tyler until they got on that team with them. So did you make any of those relationships
with the coaches?
Teammates?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it was nice to see. I mean, you find your group. Like I was worried about finding people to all hang out with. I was just thinking I'd just hang alongside Lincoln, and you find your group as you go. People that are similar like you. You find who you're not as close with and who you'll get to know better.
Yep. I want to hand it out to Carter here because Carter didn't do the junior duels. You were invited to do the cadet duels, and talk a little bit about what happened this year. But your prior years, you've been on the national team last couple of years.
This year I was sick, but I did it last year, and I think it's so cool that you can be the biggest of rivals with someone and then be best friends on these freestyle Greco teams. So I think that's one of the coolest aspects of freestyle Greco, and why more people should do freestyle Greco, even if they're not good at Greco or they're not good at freestyle, they're not comfortable in the position in whatever style it is. And yeah, it's just really fun experience. I think anybody should do it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. So let's transition to the actual Fargo experience. So you guys, for not to go on 10 more minutes on how to get to Fargo, but more or less it's a qualification process. Each state kind of has their own process um, that they have to select the team. You compete as a state to go to the USA Wrestling Freestyle Greco Nationals. You guys had a couple opportunities. One was you could have uh, been a Min USA state champ, right? And that's you were a freestyle state champ 2 years ago, so that's how Lincoln you qualified in prior years. But you guys had prom, so then there's these regional qualifiers. The closest one is in Wisconsin Dells. You guys, wrestled really hard. You had some really big brackets. Carter ended up navigating and punching his ticket there, and then Maverick, you and Lincoln had to kind of navigate the wrestle off process, right? So talk a little bit about that.
So pretty much, I think they have 4 wrestle off spots. So like my weight, I think had 6 kids or 5. So you really only had to win 1 match to make it on the team. So it's really doable if you are nervous about not making the team. It's put in the work, you can probably make the team because there's the auto qualifiers. Like let's say Carter's bracket, since he placed, there's still 4 spots no matter what on the wrestle off. So I wrestled 1 match against the Simley guy. I teched him 10-0, and I'm just, I don't know, we all went home pretty much. Yeah, so it's not too bad to get on the team.
And then Mav, did you have to navigate some tough dudes or
No, so I was lucky, or I don't know if I was lucky. I mean, I guess I didn't get a match, so I automatically made the team.
Okay.
But there was supposed to be 5 people at my weight, and then like 2 nights before, I was told that somebody got hurt, which was kind of nice because I was cutting weight and I was stressing about it. And yeah, that night I chowed down because I heard I didn't have to anymore, so that was nice. And
it's a sacrifice in the summer. You get
yeah.
cutting weight in June, July. It's probably the last thing you guys want to do. And so I think it's
but
kudos to you guys.
It is easier like when you run, the sun's on you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
For me, I didn't cut weight at all for junior duels, and I don't mind. I was bigger, it was a little tougher, but I'd kind of just decided to cut weight for one tournament, being Fargo. And it is a lot easier because you don't have to go to school all day. You have a lot more time to lose weight if you need to.
Well, I think as our kids get older and more competitive, it's quantity over quality in terms of finding those events that you're gonna really get disciplined on your weight, right? To maximize, I think is really important. So, all right. So you guys punched your tickets to Fargo, and that was what I'm looking at the calendar. It's 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. Yeah. You guys all went up with Team Minnesota. We were up in, you guys were at the La Quinta. Weigh in the day before, right? So there's some weight cutting going on if that's the dynamic. And then there were how many kids there on that Monday? Like 3,000?
Something like crazy like that. 3,000.
There was like 1,500 or 1,600 per age group, right?
3,300 kids.
Yeah.
Wrestling freestyle.
And so talk about, there was only 2 or 3 matches that first day.
Right,
so you were many hours in between matches. Talk a little bit about just, your experience navigating just, the big brackets, the nerves, and just that experience.
Yeah, for me, I think I had a 256-man bracket, but there was only like 140. So majority of the kids had a first round bye. I was one of them. So, but I was still started in the round of 128. So I think the first session, I only had 1 match and I won it. But it was, there's a ton of kids there. And once they kind of weed it down a little bit, it gets a little thinned out. But warming up is kind of crazy,
Right.
Finding a spot in the stands. It's a little hectic. But
yeah,
I feel like it almost outgrew the Fargo Dome the tournament has.
Mav, talk a little bit about this. Was your first Fargo experience? What was that first day like?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, I had like a 131 man too, so I had a bigger bracket, but I got to buy first round, so that helped me like get my warm up in, and then kind of just have some time to myself and kind of know what I was gonna I could like see what I wanted to do in my next match, like think about everything that I was gonna do next. And yeah, I mean it was a little scary for me just because seeing how many good people are there and how many college recruits go to those kind of things.
Yep.
But I mean it's definitely like a cool experience, like being able to have that chance. Like I was definitely a little disappointed in how I did, and especially with some of the coaches that were watching, it's just like a little embarrassing. But
You know what? We learn the most from our biggest disappointments, right?
it
Yeah.
helps create some determination for the
Yeah.
incoming season.
And that's the what's great is like I know that you that refueled. You're here today. You were
Mhm.
practicing earlier. Helping coach some of our youth kids, and that's what it's about. It's not about I didn't perform this day. It's what do you do about it, right?
Mhm.
And all three of you guys are testaments of what. So Carter, talk a little bit about your Fargo experience. This was your second year at Fargo. You did Greco last year as a first year 16U wrestler. You did both this year. Talk about that.
Yeah, both this year. Definitely had way more fun last year, even though I had to make weight twice.
You had
Still
more fun this
covered.
year than or
Had way more fun this year.
Okay.
Way more fun because
we yeah.
I missed the freestyle portion last year because I don't know, to be honest. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, like I've said before, I think anybody should do these freestyle Greco things, especially Fargo, because I think didn't you say it was like the biggest tournament in the world?
That's what I've heard. 7,000 total wrestlers. I don't see any other. I mean, we have. I mean, among the big wrestling nations, I think we're among the most populous. India is coming up, so I mean, maybe India has like a bigger tournament than that down the road. I don't know,
They
but
got nothing on us. Gotta say that.
but I mean, I don't see Russia being that organized. They're all. Let's hope they don't have 7,000 at their nationals for youth, but anyway, but yeah, it was the biggest in the world, and that says something about where freestyle and Greco and just sport of wrestling is at right now. Talk about the level of competition and some of the things that you all are kind of looking to get better at
Yeah,
from
so obviously
this summer. Yeah.
every match is probably going to be a dogfight. Like you're wrestling the best kid at freestyle Greco in every state, pretty much every match. So, there was very long waits. Like you wrestle, like I had a 256 man bracket, also same as Nav, and you say 128, 256. So we both had 256 mans, and
I think they're
like
around.
you'd wrestle,
I think they're around
like in
140ish.
freestyle,
Yeah.
you'd wrestle one match, you'd have to wait like maybe 2.5 hours. So you kind of have to be smart about your warm ups and being
Yeah.
ready to go at the right times, and something I didn't handle the best at Fargo, and something I'm gonna need to
Yeah.
learn from. But yeah, still had like the funnest time in the world, chilling with my teammates, being a part of the atmosphere, um, and just being there is just surreal and taking in just the atmosphere and learning from my losses and just the figuring out part,
Yep.
So yeah. What was the question again?
Talk about navigating it. Yeah, I think we've kind of talked a little bit. I think we've kind of cycled through that question. So we're a little bit past 35 minutes, almost 35. So I want to kind of close this out and tie a bow on it. But all three of you are a year apart each. And Lincoln, you're moving on to Iowa State. Av, you're going to be a senior. Carter, a junior. So what's your advice to those teammates of yours, Lincoln, former teammates, losing a great senior class, right? And we've got still some bullets in the chamber that are coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about kind of like any motivational messages to your teammates and to the fans for next year?
To the fans, I think you guys shouldn't be too worried. I think we have our team's in good hands. We have a lot of new leaders, like some of our leaders that were here for a while, including like Max and Alex Riley were,
Yep.
and me a little bit. But I think these guys have a like they're kind of not in our shadow, I guess, anymore.
Yep.
Like they have their opportunity now to
Yep.
show their leadership, and I think Hack was talking about it at Luther how these guys are doing really good. So
Yes.
and a lot of them are looking really good, and I think it's their time to shine now.
I think one of the biggest things that you should do is honestly just look to somebody that you can talk to. I mean, we have a great coaching staff. It's big. We have a lot of people that want to help, like Max, Lincoln, all these seniors that are coming back, or past seniors. And I mean, they all want to help. You just got to reach out and let them know that you really are committed.
Yeah.
That's kind of how any of these coaches are going to start getting into you, especially like Pettit. He's had major commitment. You ask him to be your partner, he'll do it.
Yeah.
You just got to reach out.
Yeah, we definitely do not lack in resources, and I think this sport is what you individually make of it, right? It's what you put into it, right?
I think one thing that when I was coming into 7th grade, I was kind of scared to talk to the older people, older kids, upperclassmen, because I thought they didn't want to help me. But now that looking back, I realize, and it might have changed a little bit too, but the older kids really want to help you out.
Yep.
So if you have questions, if you're coming into 7th grade, you're nervous, or you're a young kid, maybe 8th grade, they're all here to help you out. If you have questions, talk to them. They'll help you out.
Yeah, with the senior class being gone, me, Mav, and others just kind of need to realize like it's our time, it's our turn to take over and decide who's going to step up and just take those next step forwards to what we want to achieve and who do we want to be as a team and where do we want to be at the end of the year, the state tournament. So, yeah.
I think you guys have a great mindset here sitting at, July 31st. And I think you guys have had a tremendous off season and a lot of motivation. You guys have kind of seen, what it takes, right? We talked about sitting in our wrestling room here, just the, consecutive streak of state champions we've had. And, we're really blessed with great kids such as yourselves that, really buy in, and we can't wait to watch you. And the wrestling is great, but what the character that you all are becoming, the great men of integrity and hard work, and it's really cool to see. And we appreciate it as parents, coaches, fans, seeing that and being great representatives of our program. And I'm hoping we can get more of your teammates on. So open invitation for those, especially want to kind of start from our seniors on down, but definitely like to get, you guys all know me. I'm really, I love the sport. I love the passion, and I want to spread it. Right. And I think you guys being kind of testimonials of what the sport is all about is how we can continue to do that. So closing thoughts, each of you.
I also want to say, like, you don't have to be the greatest youth wrestler of all time. Like, nobody cares that you won Tulsa in 2nd grade. It's about developing on into your later years in high school and where you can draw actual attention to yourself and throw yourself out there, and
the gap can get closed fast.
Close the gap.
Hard work, right?
Work hard, and
Awesome.
I agree with Carter. And also I'd like to say Jeff is the man. He does a lot for the sport for Waconia.
Thank
He
you.
did all the home duels and everything and commentary, and I think that really helps. So
Thank
shout
you.
out Jeff.
Appreciate it. It's fun.
He's definitely bringing the community together. Our wrestling community, I think, is building more and more, getting stronger. I mean, the parents are definitely getting into it. Family members, we're getting more and more people in the program. I think it's definitely stepping up a little bit.
Great.
Go Cats.
Yeah, go Cats.
We appreciate it, guys. I'm gonna cue our closeout music here. They don't have headphones on, but thank you for the kids, and we hope to do more of these coming up. But until then, we hope everyone has a great August. Go Cats.
Go Cats.